Hey, welcome to another lesson video of Property of Exponents Day 2. Again, our learning target is to completely simplify expressions that have exponents. So in the previous video labeled Day 1, we had different properties that we looked at, and we didn't get through all of them. There's one more property we need to look at, and so that's what this lesson video is going to focus on. And this property states that what if you have an expression, maybe it's a fraction, maybe not, but regardless, what if it has a negative exponent on the outside? Now remember, in our previous lesson we learned that when you have a negative exponent you flip the fraction, or if something's on top it moves to the bottom of the fraction, or if it's on the bottom with a negative exponent, it moves to the top to get rid of that negative. So that's what we're going to do here. To get rid of this negative on our power, we actually want to flip-flop the fraction. Whoops, that key didn't work too well. We want to actually flip-flop the fraction. Let me get this figured out here for a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, so whatever's on the bottom, so in this example, B would go to the top, A would go to the bottom, and now notice after you flip, the M becomes positive. And in a previous lesson, at the very end, I believe, of the Day 1, you could then distribute this power that's on the outside, distribute it inside, so that way we can get rid of those parentheses. Okay, so that's the basics of the property that we're going to be looking at today. So let's look at an actual example. So you'll notice the problem child here is this -4 exponent. Okay, when you see a negative, that's no good. Now here's a rule of thumb that I like to do though. I consider the inside first, and if there are any negatives inside, I move them either up or down. Now, this problem, I don't have any negatives, so I don't have anything to worry about. So the next thing I'm going to do is focus on the negative that's outside, and to get rid of it, like we talked about, we're going to flip the fraction. Let me come down here so I have a little bit more room. So the y to the third goes on top, the x squared goes on the bottom, and the 4 now turns positive. Okay. And like when we talked about discussing the property on the previous screen, we're going to distribute that power of 4. But remember, we have a power to another power. Remember, the rule says to multiply those exponents. So the 3 and the 4 we're going to multiply on the y. The 2 and the 4 we're going to multiply on the x. Okay. So that will leave us with y to the 12th on top and x to the 8th on the bottom. Now, since y and x are different variables, all my parentheses are gone, there are no coefficients that could reduce. Technically, I am done with this expression. It's completely simplified. Cool beans. All right, now here's another one. All right. We've got another negative exponent that we got to get rid of, but again, look on the inside. Is there any negatives in there? No. So it's okay to look at this guy on the outside. All right. So I'm going to flip inside the fraction. So the y is going to go on top, 3 is going on the bottom, and remember, the 3 on the outside now turns positive. That's the whole reason we're flipping, is to get rid of the negative. Now, I'm just ready to distribute that power of 3. Okay, so I'll have y to the third on the top. And now be careful, this does not mean 3 times 3, rather 3 cubed. It's an exponent, remember. So let me write that out, just in case you might forget that. So I don't want 9 on the bottom of my answer. I would rather have 27. That would be correct. Now, since there's no variables repeated, all my parentheses are gone, there's really nothing else I can do. Awesome, there is my simplified expression. All right, we're gonna start kicking it up a notch, like Emerald, bam! We're gonna look at what we can do. Ooh, look at this guy. He looks fun. So obviously we realize that we have this negative on the outside. However, this time, look, we've got this negative on the inside, and I'm going to take care of him first. It's just a personal preference of what I like to do. So remember in a previous lesson, we talked about the x variable. He is going to have to go down to the bottom. Ugh, I don't know why this is doing this. It won't let me just write like a normal pen. So let's see. Maybe I just have to do this. Ooh, but then that's really thick. Oh well, you get the idea. The x is going to come down to the bottom. So y to the 6, he's not going anywhere. Okay, he had a positive exponent, so do not touch him. Just the x has to come down. Okay, now I haven't flipped this entire fraction, so outside I'm still technically dealing with a negative exponent. So what I want to do now is focus on him, because now the inside's ready, suited up to go. To get rid of the negative on that outside, flip the fraction. The y and the x come to the top, and yep, the 3 goes to the bottom. And this makes the guy on the outside turn to a positive 2. Awesome, cool beans. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to distribute this power of 2. Now make sure it gets to each thing, if you will, the x, the y, and the 3. Okay, and remember, when we have a power to another power, that's right, multiply them. Okay, so 2 times 2. And then on the bottom, remember, it's not 3 times 2, it's 3 squared. So I'll write it out for you in the next step. Okay, so let me come down to here. I have a little bit more room. Obviously, y, 6 times 2, y to the 12th, x to the 4th. Ooh, that's a really bad multiplication dot. It almost looks like subtraction. That is multiplication dot. And then on the bottom, 3 times 3. So as a final answer, y to the 12th, x to the 4th, over, not 6, but 9. Awesome. So there is our simplified expression. No 2 variables are repeated. All the negative exponents are gone. You know, there's nothing that could reduce this 9, so bada boom, bada bing, we're done. I think I just got 1 or 2 more examples to show you for this lesson. So let's see here. Now, I notice I've got a negative exponent here, and like I said, personal preference, let's deal with the inside negative exponent first. Now, we've talked about this before. There's no fraction, but this x, he does have to go down, okay? Technically, there's a fraction with a 1 underneath. All right, when you're not given a fraction, you can always make it a fraction. So we've got to shoot this x to the bottom. So let me do that first. We're going to have negative 5 on the top, and x is going to go to the bottom, but the power is going to turn positive. But unfortunately, this guy on the outside is still negative. Okay, so what can we do about that? Well, just like we've been doing in the previous slides, we're going to flip the inside of this fraction. So maybe I'll work down here. X cubed comes on top. Oh yeah. Negative 5 comes to the bottom, and the 2 turns positive on the outside. All right, we're getting somewhere. Picking up what I'm laying down here? All right, we're going to distribute this power of 2 to both things, the x cubed and the negative 5. Now be careful. Take a look what's going to happen. On the top, it's going to power to a power. Both of those are powers, so we're going to multiply them. 3 times 2. Now on the bottom, be careful. It's negative 5 that we're squaring. All right, we'll see what happens. You know what? I think it better come over here so I have a little bit more room. We'll have the x to the 6 on the top. And what this is saying take negative 5 times itself. So make sure if you're using a calculator, you need those parentheses around it, or you're going to get a wrong answer, and I'm going to have to mark you off. Only give you a partial credit, unfortunately. But here's the deal. We're going to have x to the 6 on top. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to have, negative 5 times negative 5 turns it to a positive 25. No variables are repeated. There are no negative exponents. There's no way to reduce 25. So there she be. There's our answer. Let's see if we've got any more. I think I might just have, oh yeah, I've got one more. Awesome. Okay, now let's look on the inside. Whoa, no negative exponents, but you might be saying, hey, what about this guy out here? What's he doing there? That's not a typo. It's just a negative sign that's out front. And you know what? He's just gonna chill there until we're done. So we're not really gonna mess with him. We're just gonna keep tagging him along and we'll see what happens at the end. Okay, so there's nothing to worry about inside. So I'm ready to just start looking at this guy on the outside, that -2. So, like I said, that negative that's out front, just keep rewriting him. But we do need to flip this to get rid of that negative. We're going to flip our fraction, y squared over 7x. All right, and that'll make the 2 turn positive. Now, I can distribute to here. Now, be careful. The 7 gets the power as well as the x. Okay, that's a common mistake. A lot of people just put on the x, but 7 is his own person, so don't forget about him. So we're going to have, whoops, I shouldn't have drew that parenthesis. Doggone it. All right, here we go. On the top, we'll have y. We're going to multiply those powers. 7 gets squared, and x gets squared. Okay, notice how I keep tagging that negative along in front. We'll have y to the 4th, 7 squared, 7 times 7, x squared. Keep that negative, y to the 4th, 7 times 7, oh yeah, that's 49. Then we'll have x squared. Now take a look. No variables are repeated. There's no way to reduce 49. So, oops, I went through the answer, but there would be my simplified answer. All right, nice job. Let's see, I think we're ready for our preview problems. So here they are. Let me write them for you. Preview problems. Remember, these need to be completed when you come into class. I will check them at the beginning for completion. And here they are. You just got 2 of them for today. Let's do this. 3x negative 2 over y. We're going to cube that. And then your second preview problem, 4x to the negative 1, y cubed, all of that raised to the negative 2 power. So again, make sure you finish these guys. See you next time in class. Keep learning and have fun.